grams of moss, 28 grams of moss. Little people the king, little people the king. Y'all ain't even ready for this, y'all ain't even ready for this. Champion, I'm the champion, I'm the champion, I'm the champion, Don't know why you cats wanna wait to be with the sleep just to give you cats a chance to eat. What you got for early didn't finish the plate. Now that I'm back, you rap cats are gonna have to wait. Been gone a whole year, still nobody got the leadership or the heart to even feel my spot. I'm the champion, must I say it again? The best in this rap game and I continue to win. Still I'm allergic to that, losing makes me sneeze. Like you phony rap cat, about to make me squeeze. Bring your whole crew, nigga, I'ma swallow that. So when it pops off, A&T is on a holler back. It's 28 grams, nigga. I've been running this shit. So anything in front of me can fuck around and get hit. I follow you rap cats, so you niggas my sons and I'm the truth. Why? Cause I'm the motherfucking champion. I'm the champion. I'm the champion. I'm the champion. Still rep the A&T, but I carry my throne. God bless as a child that can hold it home. And I am that child, as you niggas can see. Cause ain't another rapper out here better than me. And this goes to anybody trying to steal my spot. I'm number one in this shit, so number one you got. So when you can't scream, y'all is the best, I laugh. Like really, you cats don't really know the half. You do the math, and that's yourself who really great. Then add it up and watch it equal up to 28. So that's the little cats know who really the done. I'm overall, I let you niggas fight for number one. Yeah, put that on my life, put that on my son. Gotta stay the best of people leaking trade love. In my throne and I'm the key, you can put that on my heart and I'm the God. Cause I'm the motherfucking champion.
Just in time accessories. We have the bling and everything in between. Tayama Copeland is your independent paparazzi consultant. Everything is only $5. You can catch Tayama on Facebook Live at Tayama Copeland, or you can find her at www.justintimeaccessories. Just in time accessories. We have the bling and everything in between. Check it out. Just in time accessories. We have the bling and everything in between. Tayama Copeland is your independent paparazzi consultant. Everything is only $5. You can catch Tayama on Facebook Live at Tayama Copeland, or you can find her at
Legacy Unlocked. When you're locked out of your vehicle, can't get in your car, call Legacy, serving West Palm Beach and surrounding cities. That's area code 229-630-7615. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Have you been denied disability, Social Security, or custodianship of your children? Call Antonio Williams. He has the knowledge and experience to fight the government on your behalf. Let him represent you. That's Antonio Williams, your non-legal attorney consultant.
Good evening, good evening. Welcome back, welcome back. Get in here, get in here, get in here. Get in here, everybody. Call your family, call your friends, call your loved ones, and your haters. Get in here, get in here. We have a show for you tonight. I tell you, we have a show for you tonight. I just want to remind everybody, if you're new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing, not a cent to subscribe. It's absolutely free. And, you know, we don't give away nothing free around here too much these days. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We'll wait. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that like button, your thumbs up. That lets us know that you like and appreciate what we're doing over here. And, of course, share it with your friends and family. And, of course, comment below. When you comment, we will show your comments and read them on the screen loud and answer accordingly. In the meantime, I am joined tonight by none other than my brother, my little big brother, yours truly, Mr. Legacy the Great.
What it is. Excuse me, Reverend Sapp. Hey, TL hoes.
And of course, I'm joined by my light bright sister, Tyson's mama, Miss Tiama Sweetness.
Hello, everybody. Don't play with me, little boy.
Okay. We need to go all the way up north and grab our other sister with the voluptuous, juiciest cakes on this side of the Mississippi. Unlike Sarah Lee or Duncan Hines, but we found juicy cakes.
Blessings, everybody.
How y'all doing this evening?
We here.
What she said.
Listen, I think we have.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're back, Juicy. You wasn't feeling well the last couple of shows, but yes, like the Baptist says, it's good to be in the numbers just one more time.
It is. I have my my cousin passed.
Oh, so sorry to hear that.
And I don't know, I ain't taking it too good. So, but I said I had to come on. I was being off a little too long.
Well, like I always say, and I tell it like I've been telling it now, and I tell anybody, and whatever it is you're going through, if Christ can lay down for 3 days and get back up, you got 3 days. Wallow in it and get on back up.
Get up. So I did it at 2.
That's it. Yes, we have an awesome show for y'all tonight. We have been raving and talking about this book called Pastor June. You know what I'm saying? We're so honored to have the author of that book tonight to join us tonight on our show. She's going to be with us to talk about the book, to promote her book, and we're going to ask her questions and find out what inspired her. So I'm going to show this video, and when we come back, you'll see none other than Reverend Dr. Lee Sapp.
Pastor June Murder Mysteries by Reverend Lee M. Sapp, Christian fiction for grown folks. The novel series revolves around the day-to-day life of June Harris, pastor of St. Mark Church and former homicide detective. The series exposes the realistic joys and challenges of her life as a pastor and her relationships with family, friends, and community, and how they all intertwine with her gift for solving murder mysteries. Ministry is what she loves. Solving murder is what she does.
Hey, welcome to the show, Reverend Sapp.
Thank you guys for even inviting me. I so appreciate it. But you know I struggle to stay up.
Yes.
Hey, Reverend Sapp. Hey, Reverend Sapp.
How are you?
All right.
Are you my brethren Amir? You might leave, but we ain't letting you go.
I see.
How's everybody?
Blessed and highly favored.
Blessed. How are you?
Yes, ma'am.
I love that. Know your blessings. Amen.
Reverend Sapp, the last time you was here, you know you snuck this book on us because you ain't tell us nothing about the book the last time you was here. I'm talking about nothing.
Well,
actually, last time we was honoring the fact that she became a doctor.
Right, and I appreciate that too. But and I saw some of your promos. It's not my first. It's a second edition of my first book. It's a series.
Oh.
And
together.
It's a series. It's their murder mysteries. And one of the problems that I published my first novel in 2012. And it was Pastor June and the Righteous. And what I did was re-edit it and redo the cover. I found that when I would go out to promote the book, I did like a 6-city tour in like 4 states. And that first year, but the cover was so plain and all they saw was pastor. And they didn't realize it wasn't a preaching book. It wasn't about poems or prayers or anything. And so I had the cover redesigned so there's no mistake about it. If you see the cover,
right,
it's a crime scene. So they're actually a series of murder mysteries, and the 4th one is due out in January. And exactly, I love it. I absolutely love this new cover. And this book will be available on Audible by July 1st. So
your Audible version, are you doing the reading?
That sounds great.
You know, I tried. Honest to God, I tried. But I've never had wind, even before I was a smoker. But I was a smoker for 20 years, and I just couldn't keep the tone even. So I found this guy with the Southern drawl, and he just fit all my characters really well. So I'm excited about it. So I'm second edition all of them, and he'll be my
Dr. Sapp.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Sapp, you should have called me. I could have did that for you.
Yeah. Honestly, though,
yeah,
if you have a great narrating voice, it's extra income. You could go on ASX, and I didn't find any. So you audition them, and I didn't have any audition of people of color audition. I would have preferred a person of color because they understand our dialect and like
right.
As opposed to chili.
Like, I think Tony would be great for that. Tony definitely has.
You can make like $5,000 a book. You work at I told him when I wanted the due date to be, you negotiate it. You either can get paid for the whole thing up front, or you get a part of the royalties for the lifetime of the project.
Oh, that's what I want.
Royalty me.
Royalty me.
Another to find people that can compete for you is on Fiverr.com. I found a couple of people on Fiverr.com that can narrate the book for you. Mm-hmm. So I was going to use them to narrate my book.
Got SCX. You audition the narrators. You put up a script, and they read it and send you the recording, and you choose.
Say these letters now.
ASX.
Well, Dr. Sapp, what made you choose the individual that you chose to narrate the book?
Because he was great at character acting. I have this book is my favorite of all my books because it texturizes the characters, and some of the characters, like the lead, Pastor June, of course, is based on me 20 years ago, but still based on me. And then my mother in ministry plays the Pastor Billy Grant, who is a cougar. And so there's a lot of humor in it, and this and that.
Who is a what?
A cougar. I'm more now than
he heard you the first time.
So, but I chose him because he was able to pick up the country dialect, the Southern drawl.
Right.
And so
ain't nothing like a good old Murder, She Wrote, Ben Matlock, heat of the night murder scene with the drawed out,
Of all my novels, I have yet to have anyone figure it out before the end of the book.
Now, my question to you is what is, because like I said, as long as I've known you, I didn't even know you were an author. And, so I was so blown away. I was like, oh, great. And I just love to see Black excellence at its best. So my thing is, what inspired you to write this type of novel?
Well, now that I'm through with all the ministry stuff, I'm going to say it. I was pissed. It was cathartic for me. And I realize now in hindsight, looking back, I was arrogant. Here I was, in my early 30s. I wanted to be a pastor sooner than, some people got a shortcut, and I was one of those who did not, and I was upset about it. So I passed it on paper. And then I'm a huge Law and Order fan. So I just mixed my loves. And then Law and Order was getting a little raunchy, and so I just love it. I love doing it. I love creating the characters. And I did everything the right way. Something else you may not be aware of. After, that was in 2012. Where are we in 2023? I had a book out every year until we came to COVID. Now I forgot my train of thought. But I didn't lose interest. COVID just hit all of us kind of in a bad way. I lost a lot of people, and like the sister here, I lost my what I call my twin cousin, just a little, I think like 2 weeks over a year ago now, and I'm still not over it. So
Right.
I got away from it, but it was cathartic to write it and develop the characters, and then the pastor on paper, and to be able to correct some things that I thought were wrong. You know the church legacy. So it's loosely based on the AME. I just made it what I wanted it to be.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you something about book writing. Doctor, is I when I go into like Books a Million and Barnes and Noble, and I see a lot of pastors are now writing like their own version of the Bible. TD Jakes got a version. Um, I think Kerflow, Benny Hinn. It's like about five. Joyce Myers. They all got a version of the Bible as if they wrote this Bible themselves.
A version of the Bible or a commentary?
I guess it's more like a commentary, but they call it a Bible.
Hmm.
So
I haven't experienced that.
yes,
But
man.
there's so many translations. There's the Woman's Bible. There's the People of Color Bible. There are just different translations that come from different perspectives. And to be honest, the one that people believe is the genuine, the King James version, is also a translation
Correct.
over several writings. So I always
So
advise.
I was asking that because I was thinking that maybe is that something that you may be thinking about doing to give to more of a AME um light shined upon the Bible, because I mean it's kind of, it's kind of crazy that we have so many Bibles out here that's, man is touching and putting their own interpretation on the words and things. How do
I'm
you
not
feel about
interested.
that?
I'm not interested in that. I would probably, because second to preaching, I love teaching, so I would
Yes.
probably do a study, a Bible study, a Bible study book that would
Right. To
actually
break
expound
down.
on the gospel. Yeah, because I'm somebody that processes differently. Even though I got all this education, it was very hard for me because I process differently. So
Yes, ma'am.
when they teach it to you on this level, even when I'm teaching, I have to break it down, and then I teach it from that level. I have to make it relatable, because what matters to me as far as my Bible study students is that they understand. I don't
Hmm.
care if you memorize the whole Bible. If you don't have understanding,
It was for
then it's
not.
a waste of time. It was just a
Hmm.
complete waste of time. And I think people make God more complex than he is. Uh, here's what I like to say: there's church culture and there's God culture. All
Hmm.
right. God culture includes church. Church culture rarely includes God.
Mm.
That's deep.
It's a lot of
That's
spinning on church culture. Uh,
right.
but the fact of the matter is God is just not all that complicated. What God does, and one of the things that I love about God and Christ, is they relate to man on their level, or what's relatable to them in the Bible in that time. It covers 4,000 years. So the culture changed constantly. But when Jesus spoke to fishermen, he talked about fishing. When he talked to farmers, he talked about farming. And so I believe that today, when God speaks to me, if I'm doing a sermon, it's totally appropriate for me to talk about DeSantis.
Correct. Because
So
that's what's
God didn't
prominent.
stop speaking on the last page of Revelation.
Right.
And I believe if you read
Um.
the word and the basics of it, you learn the character and nature of God. And then things that you're confronted with, you'll know his nature and his character. And you'll be able to recognize what is him or her,
Yes, ma'am.
what is God versus what is not, instead of
Gotcha.
looking at the letter of crap. One of the
So.
arguments that I would have is like, for example, when you're coming to the AME church in the ministry, you have to be under supervision and
Hmm.
this board. And I have always been a tomboy, never liked dresses, never liked skirts. But they had a dress code for the women. They had to wear dresses or skirts or whatever.
Yep.
And the one lady was trying to tell me, good friend of mine, well, the Bible says that you're supposed to be meek or whatever it says.
Mild and meek.
And that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's late, y'all. Yeah, forgive me. Modest. And I said to her, well, who defines what modest is? What makes you think modest is a dress? Or modest is, and here's what they didn't know, that I didn't feel like I needed to explain to anybody when I was in them streets.
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
always in the skirt. It was short and it was tight. And I feel more holy in pants because it covers it all up. And
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sensitive to my husband. Ain't nobody trying to walk around like no Midianite, no skirt all the way to the floor that don't show no curves. You know what I'm saying? But she couldn't define modesty to me. And I had to explain to her the culture dictates modesty, not God.
Mm.
How did she feel when you told her that?
She was taken aback. I had this knack about pissing people off. That's why I said I was also arrogant. If I had been wiser, I would have realized, you know.
So by you saying you've been wiser, are you saying by you would have had to be wiser, you wouldn't have gave it to her? Which, you know, me, I'm kind of like what you are, or what you were. Even where I'm at now in life, I believe that you have to go ahead and give it to people, blood raw, so that you don't have to repeat.
The fact of the matter is, she could get me through. So if nothing else, we have to learn how to play the game.
Right.
I didn't have nothing she wanted. She had something I wanted. So that's what
right.
Wasn't wise to tick her
Okay,
off.
I got you.
I should have played the game. And I probably would have got through faster.
I have a question. So for as long as you've been in ministry, what was first your passion or your love? Was it always writing or was it ministering?
I've always been a writer. I write prayers. I wrote poems. I don't really write poems anymore. But I communicate better in writing. I express myself better in writing. To me, there's no greater one. It's all about whatever season I'm in. Ministry, hands down, is not something I'm passionate about it. Now, don't get me wrong, but it's not. It's like breathing. It's just something I don't have a choice about.
Right.
He endowed me with gifts and graces that I have to share, and I'm too afraid and have a reverent fear of God not to do what he urges me to do.
Okay.
So in this book, what brought you to wanting to, ma'am?
Well, that was it. I was ticked off about where I was in ministry, and so I did the cathartic thing and passed it on paper. I pastored a fictitious church, and then again, I love mystery. Murder mystery specifically, and so I melded those three loves with the writing. I melded those three loves, and it's a very interesting book. You've always gotten great reviews. Pastor June, if you saw in the commercial, she was a homicide detective. The first book is more of a love story, which I'm also not really in, but I was trying to appeal to a base, and she was a former homicide detective. She got stood up at the altar, and in the midst of her getting better, she became an alcoholic, or getting over that, she became an alcoholic. She got sober. I'm also 32 years clean and sober, and so it's a lot of meat in that character. And then she left the police department and was called into ministry. So she came in a little bitter about love. She was a no nonsense kind of preacher. She had been assigned to a church that never had a female pastor and never had one that young. So there's those conflicts. So it's about church people, or the characters of church people, but it's also about the community that they serve. And my initial goal was to show people that as church people, we go through what anybody else goes through. And so they're just very lively and textured characters that I'm really, really proud of. And in each one of my books, somebody's born, somebody dies. I'm an adoptive parent as well, so there's something to do with adoption. In my second book, I didn't start in the first book, I don't believe, but in the second book and the others, in the second book, the heroine or the hero is a lesbian. So there's all of those mixtures because that's what we deal with in the real world.
I have a question. How many books are there?
There are 3 and 1 yet published.
Okay. And then in the beginning, you said when he asked what made you prompt you to write, you said now that you're done with Pastor. What?
No, now that I'm done with the process of getting through ministry.
Okay.
I wanted to be where I am a lot sooner than I now know I was ready for.
Okay.
But I was young and arrogant and
understood. Okay. I was confused. I'm like, wait.
Yeah, that's something I was like, what?
Yeah. There's a whole process that you have to go through, a whole 4-year process. And so I used it to help me get through it. And one of the things that I credit to my sobriety is busyness. So while I was writing this book, and even after I published it and started touring it, I was raising 6 kids, all in, I think the oldest one was in middle school, and a full-time seminarian student while going into that, the church's institute. So it helped keep me busy.
Reverend Sapp, you got 6 kids?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay. I used to kind of be forced when I was younger to stay up and watch Murder, She Wrote, till I end up liking Murder, She Wrote with Angela Lansbury.
Yeah.
Did you like Murder, She Wrote?
Murder, She Wrote, like I said, all the Laws and Order, even the Andy Griffin character, not Andy Griffin.
You talking about Matlock?
Yeah, Matlock. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, even what was crazy? You know what was crazy is what drew me into mysteries shows and is growing up in the 80s. They used to have this show called the Perry Mason Show.
Yes.
And I used to sit up and watch Perry Mason all the time with my uncle and my mom and them at times. And I used to be like, the suspense of knowing who did it used to always drive me wild.
Did you know?
And I also, ma'am,
did you guess right all the time?
I didn't know how to put things together. I was, like I said, I was around by like 7, 8 years old at that time when I really got diving into it. But what I learned from watching those murder mystery shows and reading murder mystery books was even in regular, like when you're reading a book or a novel, you'll start to learn to pick up on certain telltale signs of characters in these books. You'll start drawing to who's supposed to be the suspect. And I just found myself those murder mysteries, even the movie, they had what was not just so much as the Hallmark. Yeah, it was like they came out with the movie The Burning Bed and things like that.
Yeah.
And I used to be like engulfed in those type of things. Even with Law and Order, I don't watch almost every Law and Order it is. And it don't matter if it's an old one or a new one.
Amen.
And I know who already the killer is. I'm still running my mind through who could possibly be the killer. Like
I'm gonna catch up. Go wait to see if you're right. But what's fun about being the author is because I was the one that was always getting them right. I watch it to make sure I'm right, basically.
Right.
The author, I'm gonna make sure you ain't figuring it out. I'm gonna drop all these clues. Like I said, no one has figured out who the murderer was before they read the end of the book to date.
So my apologies.
That's
my first time.
Go ahead, Ju.
Learning about the book, but I'm very interested. How many pages is it?
The first one is about 300 pages. No one's ever gone more than 2 days.
In your audience, who's it geared mostly towards?
That's a great question. The first one was the first one, and my demographic was really church ladies, older church ladies, and I caught on to that. My second book, which is called, the first one is Pastor June and the Righteous. The second one is Pastor June and the Coveters. That's more of a young people, adults. In fact, I had reviewers who were in that demographic so I could learn the lingo and stuff, and what was hip. And then I stayed in that demographic because that got the most speed. The third book is called Pastor June and the Witness. And that actually took 2 years to go out because right when I was getting ready to go to publish it, Sandra Bland happened. And that made me change the whole premise of the murder. So that's all I'm going to say about it. I make it.
Well, I got one. I got one for you, Pastor. The next book, when you get ready to close out the series, it needs to be Pastor June and the Legacy.
Hold up now, Pastor June and the ATL show.
Maybe
the Legacy. She's closing it out, so it's the legacy of Pastor June.
Maybe she'll make an appearance on the ATL show. She's very community active. Amen. And the next book that's coming out is Pastor June and the Congregation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you said Sandra, when you said Sandra Bland kind of changed the scope of how you were writing, to what aspect did it affect you?
Well, I also, for example, my concentration for my it was social justice ministry. So I'm an activist. I've been a BLM activist since 2012, and so that and everything surrounding that just piqued my innovation, my creativity juices, and I think it improved it greatly. I changed the way of the murder, actually, and how they found about it. Every book starts out with the murder, just like Law and Order. And then you
listen,
to figure it out.
Pastor June, Pastor June, let me ask you a request. Since you're Pastor June in the book, I want to ask you. I have a thought of a book that I want to do. It's more like a trilogy, but it's more about me, and I just gotta call you because this one right here.
It's funny you should say that, and because I drifted off of my point. But after being the author for so long, and I've done book fairs and book shows and book signings, I did for the first book. As you may be aware, brick and mortar bookstores are practically non-existent now. Everything is Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and all my books are available. Just I shut them down on Amazon, but they're available on Barnes and Nobles, Books of Men, the shelves. But now, right before COVID came, I was getting ready to launch Nivra Books publishing and author management. So I'm now publishing other people's books and managing other authors. So what I would suggest you do is write an outline and send it to me.
There you go.
And that would be the chapters, right?
No, just the premise of the book.
You gonna want to read it?
It depends on what the premise is. Give me an idea what it'll be about.
It's gonna be a little raunch.
Legacy.
We'll see. We'll see. But if nothing else, I can tell you if it'll work.
Okay.
Because a lot of people write books, and one, they end up with cases of books in their garage that they never promote. No one teaches them how to promote it. That's why I came up with authors management. And then they have this wonderful life. No offense, Legacy. But it's not really something anybody else is interested in, or it's so common that everybody is already familiar. So if the idea is just to get it out there, then that's great. But if the idea is to sell it, that's a whole nother ball game.
What suggestions do you give to an author on how to promote or sell?
I am a huge social media person. Hands down, I gotta go on social media. It's free. You can pay for it too, but for the most part, all my marketing I get for free. You got to talk about it. You got to give out cards wherever you go. Amen. Attend book events, even if you're not involved.
When you first wrote your first novel, your first book, how was it received or perceived by your ministry organization?
Everyone that read it within the church really liked it. But you got to understand, we have some, try to be careful, some people who write what they might consider deep books. It's not a deep, so mine didn't get highlighted from the bishop council or nothing like that. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to make you healthy. It may grow you closer to God because it talks about God in real talk, in real time. You know what I'm saying? Pastor June is very much like me, very progressive. I don't sugarcoat stuff. And again, my view of God is different from many of my peers. I go by what I know, not what somebody else told me about God. I talk directly to God. He talks directly. I don't need to go by somebody else's box.
Well, let me ask you this question, Pastor Sapp. Do you have a copy or a book with you that we can see what one of your books look like? That you would have with you right now? I ain't talking about the new one. I'm talking about like your first two.
I have to get somebody to bring it up. But it's very plain. That's the problem I have with it. But if you Google Pastor June or me, it'll come up.
Okay.
If you Google Reverend Lee Sapp or Pastor Liam Sapp, it'll come up.
All right.
Since 2012. But I did shut them down because I'm promoting the second edition, trying to get new. I mean, I have a fan base, but I'm trying to expand that. And even though you can read them out of order, the first book is the one that gets more and more detail with the characters, and many of the characters continue through all the books.
Okay, now that's what I like.
Yeah, you can read them out of order, but the first one really introduces you to each character in great detail.
Okay.
And probably the second book to me is better constructed. It's probably even more enjoyable because you know better, you do better. I got way too much detail in the first one, but that's also why I like it. And let me say, the murders are so ridiculous. And I did that on purpose because we have real life traumas going on. You know what I mean? I don't want to just add to that.
So give an example of one of the murders.
I ain't gonna give away the
no. Like, is it violent? Is it accident?
In this book, it starts out with, if I had thought about it, because I do have a sample of the Audible, I would have had you play a couple minutes of it. I didn't think about it, but and it takes place locally. The scenes. She was a sheriff in Sarasota. She moved to Palm Beach County. So the first body was found in an open field between Jupiter and Hope Sound, and she's a Black woman. There, it's inclusive, but it's mostly predominantly Black characters. Of course, she's in this field. The detective notices that she has on this huge church hat that's not hers. It's way too big. The dress that she has on is not hers, but it's tucked under her body to make it look like it fits. She has pantyhose on that's strewn on. It just looked like somebody dressed her after death to make her look a certain way. And the fact that she's out in the field when it's like 20 feet from a bunch of trees and brush, she could have been back there and nobody ever found her, but he realized somebody wanted her to be found. So in the first
Her to be
one,
found.
serial killer. The first one is a serial killer. I tell you that.
Both of those descriptions are two of my favorite ways of watching television or reading a book, and it's like that. I love serial killers, and then I love those type of things where the murderer brings out and dresses up the person that they murdered and is putting it into the law enforcement's face like, I did this, but you can't stop me.
Right. The murderer was saying something, and I'll share this with you. The detective character is two. Is one Mario, who's the lead detective, and then his partner is white girl named Sylvia. And so they're out there, they're examining the body, and on the body in her purse they find a Bible. Inside the Bible is stamped St. Mark Church. And so
that will be the first lead.
Yeah, and so the medical examiner is on the scene. He's another great character. We call him Cowboy Joe, big white dude. And I want to tell you about how I got his character in. Big white dude like John Wayne, big old cowboy hat, cowboy boots, southern drawl, all of that. But he's married to a Seminole Indian, and he has 2 black kids. Explain that. But his character is based on me and my girlfriend were going down 95. I was 16 years old. We were in bikinis heading out to Sing Island to the beach, and my tire blew. And all these cars just passing by. We scared to get out of the car because we practically naked. And this big old monster truck pulls up behind us, and out comes the car. This big old John Wayne looking white dude with the cowboy hat. Sweetest guy I ever met. I mean, he was just so sweet. He changed that tire. He said, don't get out. You know, and so that's how Cowboy Joe became a character. And so I based that on him. But his best friend was a black guy. The guy died early and left his kids to him, and that's how that story goes. So you see, the characters are textured. I never go into that great of detail in the rest of the books, but he remains a character in the rest of the books. So they go on, and he finds. And so Cowboy Joe says when he reads out the name of the church in the Bible, he says, "Hey, that's my church." And he says, do you know this girl? And he says, no, I don't recognize her, but he'll call my pastor. So he gave him his pastor's card, who happened to be Pastor June. And Pastor June, he was the one that left her at the altar, the lead detective. So that's all you get. Not a book.
I just want to, when you get ready to make your last book, and just make sure that legacy is somewhere in there.
You're gonna be the victim. We gonna find you.
No, I ain't gonna be no victim.
He gonna be the victim.
I ain't gonna be no victim.
The cougar gonna do it. The cougar gonna do it. Enough is enough.
Amen.
Never mind, Reverend Sapp. Don't worry about it.
A Pastor June Murder Mysteries by Reverend Lee M. Sapp, Christian fiction for grown folks. The novel series revolves around the day-to-day life of June Harris, pastor of St. Mark Church and former homicide detective. The series exposes the realistic joys and challenges of her life as a pastor and her relationships with family, friends, and community, and how they all intertwine with her gift for solving murder mysteries. Ministry is what she loves. Solving murder is what she does.
I just want to remind everybody that just tuned in that the month of May is an observance. May has come. It's National Masturbation Month. Make sure you just go out and get and if you just tuning in, we have special guests tonight. We have none other than Dr. Reverend Sapp, she's with us tonight. She's the author, the writer of Pastor June, and there's two series out there which I was unaware of. She's sharing with us her vision, how the book got started, where her thought process came
Hold
from.
on. Hold on. Okay.
Just think about it.
Yeah, so that's Pastor June. She meets up with him, man. You know, she's hot. She want to kill him. She want to cuss him out, but they in the middle of the church. So, I encourage you to get the book, to read the book, and I would love reviews. I print the reviews in the following book.
Well, I have a trilogy that I want to write. I'm gonna off the air. When I'll call you another day, but I'm gonna share it with you. But the way it's written in my mind is you have to read them in order, because if you don't, then you'll never know what happened in the last. So, and then the thing about it is each book is going to end leaving you in suspense, like a soap opera.
Right.
So book one is going to leave you in suspense, and then chapter one of the second book is going to answer the questions. Same thing with book two, when it ends, it's going to leave you in suspense. Chapter one in the third book is going to answer the questions, but it's a trilogy.
Awesome. But do that. Get with me about it. I encourage it. It's cathartic, like I said, but you have to understand what your ambition is. If you just want your story out there, that's one thing. If you want to just write it out because of the therapy of just writing it out, that's another thing. But if you're trying to make a lot of money, that's a whole nother further.
Mm-hmm.
So the authors that I'm publishing, I need to know which is your motive. Me, I'm in it to make money at this point. I've done the therapy. I've started thing. I'm over it. I'm pastoring now. So I'm trying to make money. And so you have to write what is of interest to people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I changed the demographic, because the old ladies, I mean, they were buying it, they were enjoying it, but not in droves like the younger people did. And it's a form of ministry.
Exactly.
Do you think you'll write a book about someone getting saved, like a murder, but they saved their victim, like they saved their victim?
That's in there. That's in there. And I think it's the third book, the second book, Mario ends up getting saved.
No, not saved in the church. Like the person who was gonna commit the murder changed their mind and saved the person. Like say they stabbed him up and then said, and saved
my fourth book, Pastor June and the Congregation, is the murderer is a vigilante. That probably is as close as I'll get to what you're describing, because it's murder mysteries. But he's killing people that society considers dregs of society or horrible people. And he's a preacher. This is the first one where you know who the killer is from the beginning, because it's told.
So you say he's a preacher?
Yes.
I'm
a little twisted. I'm a little dark.
I like that. I like that because I haven't really seen that before.
Yeah.
Well, Reverend Sapp, I have no other questions. If Legacy or Juicy have any other questions, and I do. Past your bedtime, you can let them know where they can find you. But if you have any more questions, go ahead, Legacy.
Well, you have the link, and I have the advertisement. In fact, I'll send you the marketing promo when the Audible version comes out. That was something, and I would suggest you guys consider doing that. Those three things: publish it in print, publish a digital copy, because mine are also available on Kindle, and publish an Audible copy. Many more. It's a whole nother demographic of people who listen to books. They don't like to read them, but they'll listen to them when they're on the train or in the car. So you want all three.
I have a quick question. Do you think it was easier to go the Amazon Kindle way as opposed to going with a traditional publishing company?
I tell you, I pitched to traditional publicists and they were interested, but they wanted to change my characters. They wanted Pastor June. That's how they did me. They wanted Pastor June.
Why do you think they wanted to change the character?
They wanted Pastor June to be a man.
I mean, hold on. You mean to tell me, Reverend Sapp, that you're the author of the book, and
well, again,
somebody
they're
who's
going
doing
by
the
what they think. They're going by what they think sells, and they also thought my target audience would be church people, conservatives, and it's not. Never was.
My mom
It
is
really is
a
secular people is who I wanted to read the
you got
book.
shrimp.
and my mom's an author, and on one of her book covers, the kids look Mexican. They don't look black, but they changed the image of the picture she gave. She gave a picture of her grandsons who are black, but they changed their features to be more
Sellable.
sellable. And I when it printed, I was like,
who is
I
that?
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
But I found that as being my own publisher and even publishing other in my company, the authors that I contracted, I publish their book with no upfront cost from them, but I do partake in the royalties. But I that's why I said I asked them, "What is your goal?" And then I'll give them my suggestion. In your mother's case, I wouldn't have suggested that, but if using that example, I think it would sell better if we changed the complexion or the race or the appearance of the characters on the front of the cover. And if you didn't agree, then it wouldn't happen.
But let me ask you something with that, Pastor.
Publishers, there's not a
We're
lot of
still
that.
doing we're still
Take their
doing the
contract
crossover.
out. Huh?
So are we still doing like the crossover? Because I
What do
mean,
you mean
back in the
crossover?
days, the black musicians had to cross over, and if they were to cross over, they had to sell their image as white musicians to be able to cross over into the white race of being able to be white people to purchase their music. Um, I mean, we're still in that to that point to where you think that they think that black
Yes.
folks don't purchase books.
Yes, all of the above. I mean, we
just
have
like that when I-
breakout people. What's the name of the lady that just died a couple months or last year that wrote The Bluest Eye?
Oh, she died.
Stella got a groove back. What's the lady name? You know what I'm saying? She was able to cross over, but her characters were still all black people. That it's just not enough of us doing what I'm trying now to do. In other words, you're going to the unmelanated people. You're going to the unmelanated people companies, and so they can only see from perspective.
Yeah, because the same thing happened to me when I first tried to market my book. I printed out like 100 copies, and then I bought this book, The Writer's Guide or something, blah blah blah, which had all these different publishing companies in it. So I found the ones that had the genre that my book fell into. So I mailed out copies to these people, and sure enough, out of the 100, I said probably 30 of them wrote back with changes they wanted.
Yeah.
If I, go through them, this is what we want, and I wasn't willing to change my book.
I mean, you want to be flexible to some degree, but like I said, you have to decide up front what your goal is.
Right.
And then, if you are my favorite author, by the way, is the guy that wrote A Time to Kill. I can't even think at this hour at night. I can't think of his name. He wrote A Time to Kill. He wrote, a lot of books legacy that you would love that have been turned into movies. John Grisham. I'm a huge John Grisham fan. Now he could write whatever he wants at this point in his career. He probably has almost all the control, and they're letting him do whatever he want to do. Now here's the funny thing about John Grisham, though. Once he got saved, his books started to go bad. They just were horrible. Before he was saved, they were great books. and I'm glad that he was saved. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying it affected his creativity process. But then when you're a nobody, when you're an unknown, they seem to have they want a lot of control. They have a lot of power.
Let me
They
ask you this, Reverend Sapp.
murder mysteries weren't hot in that season. That it was those Twilight books, those fantasy books. I don't like fantasy.
Right, Reverend Sapp, how do you ever run into like writer's block?
Oh, yes. For one thing, I can tell you there was about 2-3 years between book 2 and book 3. I had I think 2 heart attacks by then, and at least 1 stroke, which messed with my cognition a great deal. So not even writing as in the novel, I couldn't write sermons. I couldn't. It was the scariest thing to have the creative mind that I have and not be able to formulate a thought. Well, I could formulate a thought, I just couldn't get it out. So yeah, but in the normal course of the day, you have writer's block. I treat my books like a job. There's a certain time of day. I was a transcriptionist for 15 years, and you have to have self-discipline when you work at home, especially for yourself. And so I would pick out a time I would transcribe, and then another time of the day would be just for the books. Throughout the day, I had a digital recorder. When I had an idea, I would record it into that digital. That was before phones had it. Give my age away. And then when I sat down, I would have all my notes together, my little write on little napkins in the restaurant or whatever, and that was my time to work on my book. I really treated it like a job. Otherwise, you can get so busy in the day-to-day, you just don't get through with it.
Well, Reverend Sapp, you know that our sister Tayama just got finished writing a book.
That's awesome.
Yes, she's ready. I wish she'd have been able to stay on a little longer, but she, could have gave us some tips and stuff because I think she's gonna do wonderful with it.
Anthony can give y'all my number. You can call me anytime.
Okay.
In fact, as soon as my book hits the Audible, I'm planning a showcase. I would love to invite her to participate.
Okay.
Will it be local?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm inviting local authors to and I'll showcase some of them. In other words, you'll read a portion of your book. We'll highlight your book, invite the public out, and that kind of a thing.
Tony, you gonna bring your book?
Sure.
Huh?
That's my book. Right.
What?
Available what summer? Is it already out?
No, that's the one I'm working on right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. This will be sometime between July and August, sometime overlapping perhaps, early August or some point in July. I'll keep you posted.
Right now, the only thing that has to be done is the editing, the proofreading. Because the book is done.
You have an editor?
I'm gonna use Juicy's mother.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you can't edit your own stuff.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way too. You can't edit your own stuff.
You'll never catch the
Why
mistakes.
is that?
Because you won't catch the mistakes.
You won't catch it
because
you know what you're supposed to say, and that's what you see, even when it's not
right.
there. Yeah.
There's a lot to this.
It is. It's not a cakewalk. That's why if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. You need to do it hard. You need to be passionate about it, or you end up being one of these people that got cases of their books in their garage collecting dust and nobody knows they exist.
Exactly. And I know a few people
not
like
something
that.
For a lazy person. Yeah, you have to put it out there. You have to talk about it wherever you go. You'll get on people's nerve. Give a lot of them away, especially if you're going to do a series. Did you want to hook them?
Right, because one of my favorite books I read when I was away from society was Men Cry in the Dark, and it's a story. It's like it got like 4 or 5 different characters in the book. And in the book, it tells each character's story all the way up until the end, and it draws everybody in until the ending where they were all friends. The guys were all friends and stuff. And I've always wanted to do a book like that that talks about Antonio, talks about LaTonya, talks about Drew, Dream, Legacy, Chase, and draw everybody in. And at the end, they meet this guy that's supposed to give them the understanding, and his name is Legendary.
Nice.
I want to do a book like that.
Nice. Think about it, pray about it, and then be about it.
I mean, she just got all these keynotes today, don't she?
That's why she's here.
Yes, she does.
Well,
We don't want to stop our excellence. Amen.
Amen.
And so I appreciate y'all lifting me up and giving me the opportunity to lift the book up. And that's what we're supposed to do. I count y'all as a part of my village.
Again, well, thank you for being a part of our show tonight. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And I would definitely be in touch to get some more direction. On a personal note, I would definitely share your phone number with the crew after the show.
And I want to say congratulations to you.
Congratulations. I wish you much success.
Thank
and
you.
I just hope you start doing books as a Tyler Perry, as a George Gershwin, any of them.
Now it sounds like it could be pitched to some network as the next
like a TV show.
mystery show.
After the second edition of the third book, my editor will be writing it in script form to pitch it for a series.
Well, yeah. I want to be an actor. I could be too.
Well, Reverend Sapp,
keep that in mind.
I wish you all the luck. And I wish that the book that you write that have me in it become a movie.
Okay, Legacy.
Listen.
I will keep you in mind. You are definitely a character.
He could be my victim.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not going to be killed off. This is a black book. You don't kill off black characters in black movies.
You better run.
Black. But the heroes are black too, so I guess that cancels it out.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Reverend Sapp.
Thank you. I love you all.
Love you too. Legacy, you better run and not fall.
Say what?
You better run and not fall.
That's it.
I'm walking.
Listen. Black people fall and roll. We don't fall and look back and crawl backward.
Okay.
We know how to stop. We know how to roll and get back up in full sprint. I don't care what size or weight you is. Black people know how to roll and get back up in full sprint.
Well, I hear that. Well, listen, I was on somebody's Instagram, and it was a black individual. I'm sorry. It was a white female. Her father, her family, it was going through a trial. The white female was in trouble for some reason or another, but they were trying to decide whether or not how to try her as. Now you say I could try this individual as an adult or try them as a child or a minor or whatever. They figured the worst case scenario was to try her as a black man.
What the hell does that mean?
Check this out.
At her arraignment this afternoon, Hannah received the harshest possible sentencing from the judge. She will be tried as a black adult.
Due to the extreme and violent nature of this crime, this court finds it fitting to try the defendant as an African American. Henceforth, you will be referred to for the jury by the name Wandell Brown.
Once the trial begins next week, all courtroom images of Hannah will depict her as a 300-pound muscular black man, and jury members will be instructed to imagine her as such.
This is America. Nobody deserves to be treated as a black man.
Now that Hannah has been ruled black, the court has instructed local media to assume she's guilty, and the police have retroactively charged her with assaulting her arresting officer. Hannah's 24 character witnesses have been replaced by a single crack addict who goes by the name of Skaggs. Hannah's parents are, of course, planning to appeal the ruling, saying that their daughter should at most be tried as a black celebrity or a stunningly beautiful Filipino lady. Every time I hear a story like that, it makes me so glad I'm exempt from the legal system.
I'm glad that was some type of made up shit. That was no.
I'm hoping it was.
Yeah, because listen, but you'd have been. This would have been on CNN, A&N, Round the World, Good Morning America, Good Night Seattle. This shit would have been everywhere. Hey Juicy, it would have been on all the shows. I'll tell you, them folks would have reached out to Legal Legacy. It just would have went crazy.
And the worst case punishment for her was to try her as a black man.
A 300-pound black man.
Okay.
First off, she can't just
a 300-pound muscular black man.
She gotta look and she gotta be intimidating.
Yes.
Hey, and they instructed the jury to look at her as a 300-pound muscular black man. The news can't talk about her no other way other than this incredible Hulk guy.
And that's crazy.
And then they went and got real racist and say all 12 of her character references will be removed and replaced by a crackhead named Skaggs. Your ass on your way to prison.
Yes. Yes,
you're done for. I'm talking about they forgot to point out the nosy black woman that's in the apartment complex, always looking out of the window. She sees everything.
Miss Benita Cottrell.
That's how she guilty.
But truth be told, it's fun, but it is a serious way how our judicial system does go about sentencing and how we're looked upon. And that's why me and you, Tony, and Kate and Tayama can both. All four of us can get pulled over and drugs in the car. Nobody knew about it, except for, let's say, me. All us go down. Juicy and Tayama are going to get pulled in just two separate rooms. And regardless if it's Juicy's or Tayama's, they're going to say, so Legacy and Tony was trafficking this? And you were like, what are you talking about? So you're gonna go to prison for the next 25 years for trying to be your G and gonna take this fall, and you're not gonna see your kids for the next 25 years. Even if we all want to take the fall for it, Juicy and Tayama is gonna get sentenced differently than me and you, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been in court and sentenced to prison when me and a white guy had the exact same identical charge. I caught 3 years. He caught 3 years on probation. Same exact charge. He caught 3 years probation. I caught 3 years prison. And like I tell people all the time, you can't think that that racism is gone. You can't think that the skinheads are gone. Not the skinheads, but Ku Klux Klan are gone, especially in the South. All they did was put down the white robes and picked up the blue uniform with the shield on it. They picked up judges' robes. They picked up suits to wear into the courtroom as attorneys, and they also picked up doctor uniforms. And go into the hospital and kill us off because they're a doctor and you really can't hardly sue them with malpractice. So I will always look at the judicial system this way because there's no way 90% or 85% of our prison systems is represented by black and brown individuals, and 3% is represented by white society. You can't tell me that when we all live in the same state, country, and all of us do crime. We just get magnified it to where you ever remember that movie they made years ago called Birth of a Nation? It's been not the one we seen where we play, but the one where it was a white man who they painted him up as blackface. And this been way back. And they painted him up as blackface called Birth of a Nation. And it showed how white folks looked at black people back at that time. And he's supposed to have been going through these mountains. He's supposed to have escaped as a black man and ran into a white woman. And because they had them painted this image that black men always wanted to sexualize white women and things like that. So the white lady jumped from the mountain and killed herself. And this caused chaos and panic, mass hysteria throughout the nation. And that's how that stigma came about black men are over sexualized, and that our greatest dream is to be with a white woman. That's how that came about. You can go back and watch it. It's more like a little, back in the day when how they had movies back then. But it's a real movie called Birth of a Nation.
Well, it's crazy you say that when I just saw, I think the man's name, Elon Musk, they have created the first robot wife. And he was kissing it. But the first image I saw was a black robot wife that he was kissing. And I'm like, they just want so much to
be with.
Yes. Now when I said, and it's crazy how the image, who they're trying to replace is the black female, but then the person sent a picture of him with a white robot wife as well, doing the same thing. So I'm like, okay. But hold on, let me see if I can find it.
But since we talking about Elon right quick, I'm gonna tell you what the committee of the United States brought in this lady that was one of the head people. I sent Tony the link. We're probably gonna try to show it to you guys next week, where she was sanctioned to come and speak before the committee. And they asked her, did she go to school to be a doctor? And she said, no, she doesn't have a doctorate degree. And when they asked her that, so one of the House speakers was like, well, I figured you wasn't a doctor. So why did you guys, during COVID in 2020 and 2021, why did you guys why did you guys censor so many doctors who was on Twitter trying to tell people how to deal with COVID and how to do this and how to do that? Why did y'all censor so many doctors from Harvard, Princeton, Yale, and all of this who was coming out telling y'all about COVID? Why did y'all censor them? And the lady was like, pretty much the lady said that the United States government, the FBI, notified Twitter to go on and block every doctor who was coming on telling the people that COVID was this and COVID was that, and how to defend against COVID without taking the vaccine. And so the lady, the speaker, was like, "You're telling me, yes or no, did the United States government tell you guys to censor all the doctors?" And the lady said, "Yes, we were told by the United States government, the FBI, that we are to block anybody who was trying to give any information about COVID." Our government.
Well, I know that that was what they were doing. So,
It don't shock me at all.
They have a lot of
hidden agendas.
Well, not just hidden agendas, but a lot of documentation showing how they were putting these things out, because in other countries where they have vaccines, or they were, everybody was under attack, there's some countries where none of their citizens was willing to take the vaccine, and they didn't want those reports released either, because they wanted it to seem like everyone was doing it, but there were a lot of people. And so, I think I sent us that too in our chat, but they had an autopsy done of a vaccinated, and it's the first autopsy that's been done of a vaccinated person who died from the COVID vaccine.
And what did the autopsy say?
Oh, well, this is the image of the robot wife.
Tony, you froze?
I'm gonna put out about the robot wife, about our artificial intelligence in itself. The crazy part of it is it's artificial intelligence, but right now in this stage of the creation of it, it is learning. And the more we take part in using this technology, the more we are teaching it. So, example, artificial intelligence has been in our automobiles for a long time, considering cruise control. But even with GPS using, we put in where we want it to go, and we're allowing it to take us there by GPS. So it's learning how to navigate through our country, our streets, better than we are. We're now dependent on these devices to take us where we need to go, instead of knowing how to get there on our own. So in due time, and the creator of these artificial intelligence systems that are being created, he actually was sitting in Congress pleading for partnership with the government, because he said that he created the artificial AI. However, if something goes wrong, it could go completely wrong. Bad. And so they would like to go ahead and connect with the government now, so that if that takes place, they'll already have measures in place.
Cake, remember that you say that. And what he means by that is, once AI is completely immersed into the world, AI has control of everything. It's in control of the nuclear systems. It's in control of everything. And there was a movie put out in 2000. iRobot was one, but the first one before that one was maybe after that was Terminator 3.
But the Terminator was already part robot, right?
Well, it was a robot, and it just used some type of a rubber flesh stuff, but it was a robot already. But in Terminator 3, when the world actually comes to an end, AI, what they call it, in the movie they don't call it AI, they call it it's a different name, but it is AI. And what happened is it actually immersed itself across the whole country. And the robot, the thing AI got tired of how human beings were treating themselves, killing each other and things like that. And it nuked the whole planet and killed every human being. And I've always thought like this. Anytime these people make movies that show images like this, these are things that they're already telling us that they're preparing for. AI has been brought about for years. It's just that they needed to find a way to start bringing it into human acceptance.
Yes.
And that's what that whole movement was about, because there was always a large argument of diplomatic people who were against artificial intelligence. And money, and this is what I'm telling you, money rules everything. And when you can align the pockets of people who say that the reason that they do these things is to advance society, but in truth, certain things just are not meant to be. And that, for those that believe in God and those that don't, everything is going to evolve in God's time. And for people who are doing this, that's why it's called artificial, because it's fake. It's not real people thinking and moving and doing the things to make the changes. And I just feel bad for the generation after our kids, which will be our great grandkids, because I don't, well, that'll be Tony great grandkids, but or nieces and nephews. But I don't think we're gonna be around here long enough, because something bad is gonna happen. And if that man has gone to Congress and brought that to their attention, you don't think they already got think tanks of all supposed to be the smartest people in the world thinking and knowing this type of stuff can take place? And you're not gonna stop AI once AI can outthink every human being on the planet.
The funny, not funny, but the truth part is Geneva Convention, that is part of the rule. In order to notify the people, they have to tell us and inform us. And one of the ways is through art, through film. And so they use these movies to get the message out, because people aren't going to read the books. The prediction of this artificial intelligence that they're speaking of, that he was talking about, if you notice, within the next 5 years, they had a list of jobs that are going to be obsolete, because the artificial intelligence is going to be able to take over those jobs. There was a this was on the Steve Harvey morning show, I think 2 days ago, if not yesterday, where they were speaking on this. And one of the things that they said was, there was a somebody asked, what about the broadcasting and DJing? And he said there was a DJ who actually did a whole show, even ran a contest with AI. And the people were very upset when they found out about it, because they did not realize that what was going on. But he did his whole broadcast. There are people who are scamming because they can make. There's this one lady, she said she got a phone call, and the voice sounded like her daughter, and it was like someone was holding her ransom. And if she had not gone upstairs and checked in her room and saw her daughter there, she would have thought her daughter had been kidnapped. But it was artificial intelligence doing this. So I want to say, like, use it wisely. I'm not for it, but we're the one who are teaching it to them how to take over.
Yes.
So we got to stop wanting to play in these games and be a part of this system that's trying to take us out. The evidence is here that they have the programs, they have the ability, and they're doing it. So, like, make it make sense that
Like
you
people
find
don't
it funny.
recognize, Kate, these iPhones and things that ask for your fingerprint, your retina scan. These things are for your picture recognition. It's fun and games when you and by law they ask you, do you give permission for this to be done when you sign up for these apps and things on your phone? This is for facial recognition. This is for later on in the next near future, you riding around in cameras everywhere and you driving and your license suspended, or you driving and you got a warrant and these cameras are checking, because they do it in China right now. They do it in Korea and stuff right now. And this is how they know when you get behind, police get behind you, you wondering why they pulling you over, you ain't doing nothing wrong. The cameras already notified them that that's you in the red car with the tag such and such and such and such, you got a warrant. This such and such who done been escaped from prison from 22 years ago. He's right here. Because we have installed cameras everywhere. Cameras make people feel safe. And those are going to be the same demise of the human race, because you won't be able to hide anywhere. You won't be able to go or do anything. And the next thing they're finna do is with this banking stuff that starts in July or next month. These people have almost completely monopolized the game. And I showed Tony some things. I want to think it was Sunday when we was watching this. These different documentaries like Zeitgeist, Truest Story Ever Told, and Fahrenheit 9/11. This game is big, so big and so vast, and they make everything based off of fiction movies because they understand that as long as it's sci-fi, as long as it's fiction, nobody takes anything serious.
So when you were speaking of how I think his name Arnold Schwarzenegger had the skin over it, I sent this one. This is look how her arm looks real, her face and everything looks real, but then the other it's the robot.
Right.
And so we have probably gonna have a lot of people walking around like this.
Up until AI tell those same robots that we done brought in our homes, in our work jobs to kill, and we're not going to be prepared to deal with that type of enemy.
Well, this is a form of gendercide, I personally feel.
Yeah.
Because I ain't seen no robot husband.
I didn't hear you went robotic, Juicy.
I said this is a form of gendercide because I haven't seen the robot husband.
Well, we have seen what women do with robot anything. Can't hear you, Tony.
If they create a robot husband, then he'd be right here shooting his D cells in you.
Ooh. Energize. Keep going.
Hey, Tony, they say that until he got them. They say that until he got them balled up and keep going, and now they don't.
Okay.
And don't want to stop.
I don't know about the other one.
Listen, real quick, I want to show you this real quick. Just piggyback. Reverend Sapp sent this.
Oh, those are her books. Okay.
So yeah, she sent those.
Nothing came across my screen, but I see it after the show.
It's amazing how
I see Elon Musk kissing the black robot.
Yeah, I can say it's amazing how realistic the robots look.
And those are the first ones. Just imagine when those are the prototypes. Just imagine what the real one's gonna be like.
You wanna get you one, Legacy?
No, I'm good. Now one of them cougar robots won't kill me.
Yeah, because you might be in there pounding it out and it might short circuit.
And just electrify you.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Oh, listen, moving right along, just to move along real quick. I had a customer come over today to get some papers notarized, and it was from a debt collector. And she was saying that she owes this debt collector like X number of dollars per week or per month or whatever. I says, no, I said, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. I said, if you have a debt, for example, with Sears, and Sears sold the debt to ABC debt collectors, that means when they sold it, the debt is now paid in full because ABC debt collectors bought the debt, which means paid it off. Secondly, you never signed an agreement with ABC debt collectors, so you don't owe them anything. You're not obligated to them because you never signed anything with them. You signed something with Sears, which that debt was purchased by ABC. So now, right now, she's in the midst of trying to get out of paying the debt collector because she's been paying the debt collector $50 a month. But this is a video I found about debt collecting, which supports what I was telling her. Check this out.
Okay, so when I stress do not pay a debt collector is because I was a debt collector for 4 years and I know exactly what goes on behind the scenes and the tricks that they use to quote unquote verify debts. So when you send in your first initial dispute letter, of course, it is going to come back quote unquote verified because they respond with the itemization of the charges. A breakdown of charges is not considered verification or validation of a debt. Let's just get that understood. So secondly, what you need to be responding with is not a phone call to make a payment. It needs to be a 609 letter. They need to prove to you that that debt belongs to you, and the itemization of charges does not prove that this debt is mine. You need something with my wet signature on it that proves that this is my debt. Guess what? They don't have that information. So they have to reach out to the creditor. The original creditor has 30 days to respond to them, and they still have only 30 days to respond to you. So it's really like 14-14. Guess what? The original creditor doesn't respond. You know why? Because they already got paid on the debt, and they sold it to the debt collector. So what I gave you is what you have. That's all there is. Now, guess what? An item that cannot be verified must be deleted. Now they have to remove that item off your credit report.
She's absolutely right. I was sitting looking up the U.S. codes for it because it is actually illegal for agency to purchase the debt that someone else has. Because see, like you said, we're going to use Sears for example. When Sears says I owe and they can't collect, they write that debt off as if it was a income gain for me and a deficit for them. They can't double dip on that. So if they paid and sold, they're not even selling the debt. They're selling the skip trial files. I used to do skips, like call people and try to get them to pay their debts. But I realized that I could be sued because it was me calling saying I'm going to get it and collect.
Correct.
You actually are working as a subcontractor, not for the company, but for yourself, helping the company. And you do not, there is necessary to pay. Now, one thing I have learned through the way the status filing on your credit bureau report goes is if you reach out to this company as if you acknowledged that could possibly be yours, it resets that status filing over again. So the best thing to do is to dispute it with the bureau, not the company.
Right. Or when they do call you, you tell them that you didn't give no one permission to do anything and that you don't have a debt with whoever that is and to not call you anymore. Go ahead, Kate.
Also, when they call, they're going to say this is a recorded line. They need your permission to record. So you can also tell them, no, you need to switch to a non-recorded because I don't give you permission to record. And at that point, they can't move forward with the call, they can't get any information and use it because you did not give permission. So now they have no files, no documents to build a case against you.
Well, as we say often on this show, we learn something new every day.
That's true. So I hope that was some good information that you viewers captured today. Because, like I said, you do not owe the collection company anything. You never signed an agreement with the collection company. You never agreed to pay the collection company. You agreed to pay the original debtor, Sears, Macy's, J.C. Penney's, Visa. Those are the people who you agreed to pay. You didn't, and then they, like I said, they either charged it off, they counted it as a loss in their taxes for that year, which means it's zero, or they sold the debt to a collection agency, which means again it's still zero. So you owe nothing either way. So don't get tricked into now paying a collection agency.
Well, one of the scare tactics that they use is, especially like hospitals and things like that, because they'll hold doctor bills over your head for years, but anything over 7, you no longer owe it. And you can tell because let's say you owe the hospital $2,000, you never got around to paying it. Hey, Donovan, and I've seen it where hospitals call and say, well, can you just pay $150 on this debt? And you say, I don't have a debt. And don't call me no more. And then you'll receive something in the mail from them saying that you don't owe anything. Because most people don't know everything that's in the negative on you. But the thing is, how they get you is, like Juicy say, you can dispute it with the bureau, but after 7 years, anything on your credit after 7 years is if you put it in writing that you want them to prove how you owe something, or that you want this off because this isn't you, this wasn't you that did this, they have to move it off of your credit. Most of it, even when Miss what's the lady that do your feet, Tony?
Miss Marion.
Yeah, Miss Marion has told us before that, you have to write them and tell them to show proof of it and that you owe this debt collecting company. And if they don't, you tell them to remove it off your credit and you can dispute them and get it removed. But you have to do some legwork behind it.
You're absolutely right.
So under the Uniform Law of Commission, the website it's uniformlaws.org. That's where you can find the codes that will give you can put in the search what you're looking for, and it'll pull up the United States code that you can file under or read to see if you have something a leg to stand on. And the debts are there about debt collections.
So again, you have to do a little leg work, and it can cost you nothing or it can cost you a lot. The leg work that you're willing to put in will determine if it costs you a little or if it costs you nothing. I mean, if it costs you a lot or if it costs you nothing. I'm always okay with doing a little leg work.
I was gonna say the only thing it should cost you is a little leg work. Just time.
Let's push it.
Juicy Cakes?
Yes.
Anything else you wanted to share before we move on?
Well, I was trying to find the statute of what they're on the code form, but we can keep going. Okay. They got the website. Do your research. I ain't gonna research it for you.
And don't pay them people your money.
No, them your coins. Because at the same time, just a little another nugget. You're an authorized user. The people who own the accounts are the ones who have the debt. And they authorize you to use it. So actually, no debt is yours.
Period.
All right.
This morning. He has something he wants to say about school shootings. Here is his extra point.
Another high school shooting yesterday, this one in Florida. 17 dead, the last report I saw. And everybody sends their thoughts and prayers again because that works so well. This is the 18th high school shooting in America this year, and we have 10 and a half months to go. We've had 290 since 2013. We average about one a week, but there's just nothing we can do. If it was a Muslim or a Mexican doing the shooting, how many new laws and how much money would we spend then to stop the madness? But since it's almost always a white kid, there's just nothing we can do. America has 5% of the world's population and yet 31% of the world's mass shootings. We're worried about people coming to this country. They should be worried about us going to theirs. Australia had 4 mass shootings between 87 and 96. They passed stricter gun laws and haven't had a single mass shooting since. And here I thought, guns don't kill, people do. Is this the people we are? Last time I said we need to find a way to stop a nut with a gun, and that's all I said. I get an email saying, I'm saving my last bullet to put it right between your eyes. Just another responsible gun owner in America, and I'm taking all bets he's a white guy. So there's just nothing we can do. I'm Dale Hansen. It's getting harder to enjoy the day.
That's the guy who I had told y'all said that if we want to stop him, we need to get a black person to start doing the mass shootings, and I bet they'll put a stop to it. He done went to the Mexican. He like, all right, ain't none of us stood up to do it, so he gonna go to the next race. Somebody got to stand up. Take one for the team.
What you say? You black gonna take one for the team?
I got babies.
All us do.
Listen, I promote.
Some of us eat them. Some of us drink them. So all of us got them.
You know, Tony. Put him in the corner. Put him in the box. Crazy part about it is, though, for real, yes. Say it again. Some of us eat them.
And some of them drink them.
And I drink the babies.
I wonder if these robots
drink babies.
Wives will get mixed, like, you know how, because it's electrical, right?
Right. And that's liquid.
How that's gonna work? Y'all gonna be divorced in a minute. Oh, you can't swallow.
It'll be rusted out.
She gonna be
Listen, I on a serious note about this topic, Juice, I think you and the gentleman both are right. I mean, it's we do kill each other, but I mean, and we have some, but I don't really know too many. Let me not say that, because it seems like every time we say that, one of us show up and do something that we say only another race do later. So, but those mass shootings, the man said it himself, either these are designed by our government on the left wing, who wants gun control and wants to take guns from the American people, even though it's our constitutional right to have them and to be able to protect ourselves, and not only for ourselves from other criminals, but that's why the founding fathers created the Constitution, and for us to have the right to bear arms is because of the tyranny that once the government knows that that man or society no longer has a means of physically defending themselves from the government, we're all doomed. But at the end of the day, there definitely needs to be some type of gun control, but it's just as easy to buy a gun off of the street as it is going into an auction to purchase a gun. What they call them other where you go pawn shops. So I mean, the only way to control that is to let's just confiscate everybody gun. I'm talking about police officers, everybody. Let's have a society in our country where there are no guns for people, because if you remove guns, that means you have to remove them from the military, and that's something that our country is not gonna do. And the people that like in the NRA and things like that, them folks ain't allowing that to happen. Them folks, just like that man say when he said something about gun control, he says somebody texted him or emailed him and told him, I'm gonna save my last bullet for you. Cause these people are serious about having the right to be able to have guns. But I just believe whatever side, whether it's the Democratic Party that is siding saying that we need to have guns removed, it just makes me think about a lot of people don't remember that when the Civil War broke out, right? The Civil War was about supposedly had been about the North and the South at war with each other about freeing the slave, but that wasn't the case. But truth be told, we have to understand that these people want to have utter control. And no matter what nobody's saying, black people don't remember this because we don't do the research or the history. But the Republicans are the ones that freed slaves. The Democrats are the one who wanted to embody slavery from here on out. And those probably are the same people that's trying to have guns and stuff removed from basic good American citizens' hands to not be able to defend themselves against that type of tyranny that they want to bring upon us. Juicy, Tony, y'all got anything to say on that?
I definitely 100%. Oh, that was muted. I definitely 100% agree with you. But I think it's crazy how they're. I don't know. I want to say if it's the Republicans or the Democrats, but how they're not seeing what's so obvious in their face as far as with giving people the rights to bear arms, no license, no this, no that, and then an increase in numbers, an increase in death, increase in shootings, but you still don't see nothing wrong.
I don't think that it ain't that they don't see nothing wrong, but I think white society believes that whites have the right to protect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want guns in black, Spanish, brown people hands. Because we don't have mass shootings or murders in the United States by Asians that we know of. We don't have mass shootouts in the street in the United States of America pretty much by other nationalities. Most of the killing that goes on in our country that is being seen, that is being shown and brought upon on TV is by whites, mass shooters, blacks, mass killers of ourselves, and Spanish are mass killers of themselves, their own race and other races. So as long as you take the guns out of the black and brown people hand, those are who we want to have the guns out of their hand, because we're the ones that are portrayed to be the monsters in our country, and white people are considered to be, even when they are the ones that's doing the mass shootings in our society, they're portrayed to be misunderstood, a little off, was a great little boy, and portrayed as that in the image of the news.
Just had a troubled background.
Yeah, mom and dad, dad was abusive. We're gonna give them every excuse and reason to where you don't look at them as the monster. But I don't know how people can't look at white society as the monster, because they're the only race of people that have been on damn near every continent and pillaged, rummaged, and destroyed everywhere they've placed their hands at. So nobody on the planet has killed more people by bloodshed than white Caucasian people.
I agree with that. Now, as far as confiscating all the guns, I think that's like rather impossible.
Yeah.
Let's go with this. How about take this artificial intelligence and use it to the fact that that gun don't go off unless the person who is registered to hand is the one on it.
That's fine.
Because I feel we have a right to bear arms. And the whole reason of that Second Amendment, that's what we need to be doing. And so, like, happy Malcolm X Day.
You have to ask yourself this question, right? Throughout history, what has been the most scariest group of people to white society? And I ain't talking about a race. I'm just saying an organization that was scary to white society.
Black people.
So,
not race, what group of people, meaning what organization was considered the most dangerous?
The Nation of Islam.
Nation of Islam and the Black Panthers.
And the Black Panthers.
The Black Panthers was first because they were actually standing on their Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, to protect their community, not only from drug dealers and people that were committing crimes in their community. It was also against, as Huey P. Newton would say, the pig. So at that time, when you have the FBI director, which what is his damn name at that time? Juicy.
I'm sorry.
It'll come to my head, right, but I can't think of him right now. But he was the director for a long time. He said those people are what keep white folks up at night. But tell me, why is it that the same race of people as he was, which is the Ku Klux Klan, was allowed to march down streets in black neighborhoods and black communities and have parades, even in the 70s and the 80s and some in the 90s.
I'm sorry, 2020. I mean, they done had parades like last year.
Yeah, they definitely did. So how is it that those people who we know have killed and pillaged and hung black men and women and cut their stomachs open with women who having babies and the babies fall out the stomach and you stump on the baby head or feed babies to alligators and things like that? How is it those race of people are still allowed, with y'all knowing that they did all this type of killing? They should have been abolished years ago. Why is it that our government has never infiltrated and did away with or abolished the Ku Klux Klans, but you did everything in your power to slaughter, murder, imprison anything that had anything to do with the Black Panthers? The removal of guns is not about the removal of guns from white folk. The removal of guns is about taking the guns out of the hand of black and brown people so they can't defend themselves when they try to put you back in slavery.
So, it's like, okay, I believe everyone knows slavery did not start because the argument is in Africa they were selling their people. So slavery has been a way of making money.
Financial gain.
Okay, so history does show that by the time the Europeans reached and were buying slaves from Africa, they weren't even healthy enough to make it in Africa because of Africa, how it is.
Yes.
They had to buy off the coastline. So there were people bringing the slaves to them to sell. So we were selling, and so they say we were selling our own people. The part that got bad about it is how they were treating their slaves. So now they're trying to make light to it to say slavery been here. There's nothing wrong with slavery. They have brainwashed us to be inferior and to fear them. And when they see us willing to rise up and stand for against it, that's where they want to put that. Hitler, I mean, that's his tactic. The way to get people to control them is by instilling fear.
Exactly.
So this is one of their ways of doing to control, because here on this land, they want control.
But when you say that, Cake, about Hitler, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the scientists that were captured in Germany,
they are CIA.
They were brought to the United States and worked for our government for years, teaching the United States government the tactics that Hitler was using and how he was able to get the Jews to hand over. They handed over their guns to him.
Yeah.
And once they handed over the guns, that's when the demise over the Jews took place, because they got them to think that handing over their guns to where and they will be there to protect them, when they were gonna actually be the one to slaughter them. And that's what they did. Hitler never went over there and was just, this is what it's gonna be. He did it in a democracy way. An election where the people elected Adolf Hitler into position. And his first few years in office, he got people to register their guns. After they registered the guns, he said it was still violence in the street, that he needed to confiscate and collect every gun, and then it wouldn't be any more violence. And after some people rose up and were like, I don't want to give my guns, for those that walked in and gave them, he took them straight on into the concentration camps. The rest of them that was on file of not turning in their guns, they already know where you live because you're registered. So now the military went to those homes. Give me your guns. I don't want to kill them on the spot. Boom. Those that gave them up and they walked there, excuse me, God, no disrespect to the Jews, but that's how that happened. And they are trying to implement the same thing right here. How do you get people to want to give up their guns? You have to use scare tactics, that guns are horrendous in our communities. And it's not that guns are horrendous in our community. It's the people who have become uneducated with this tool of protection, that use it ill-advisedly and harm people with it. Because most people who are educated with guns don't just go outside and want to shoot up anybody. It's only there for protection. And our government, because Tony, as I showed you earlier this week, want to unify the world up under one world order. And they don't want one nation to rise up to create a turmoil with other nations to say, we're not going to allow it to happen either. So that's just my view of it. And I know that they're trying to, they are using tactics to villainize different races, to make people scared of these races of people, to where that everybody just say, we give up our guns, we're going to turn them in. And then as soon as that takes place, you're going to see what the United States of a corporation, because it's not a country. And
like, there's actually a business called In God We Trust. They're a corporation called In God We Trust here in DC. And that's who they're connected to, they're affiliated to. I strongly really think that they're actually giving the guns to the youth.
Yes.
Like I explained to you how that kid was found with, he had a loaded gun in school, but also in his perfect attendance note was handwritten how to plead. So they're being groomed on, here, I need you to do this, and then also how to get out of it. How they're giving them this option of your minor, it could get expunged. You are showing good behavior, this and that. We can work deals. So
or they kill you, Juicy, or they kill you on the spot so that you don't get to tell your story about how somebody from the government came and taught you and told you how to do this. Like we talked about the other shooting at the mall about a week or so ago. I think you wasn't here, Juicy, but we were talking about the shooting that took place at the mall. And this man came dressed up in police attire, and nobody paid attention to him because this is who's supposed to protect us. And when he got where he wanted to be, he took out his semi-automatic rifles and just started killing random people. And just so happened, coincidentally, there was an officer just right around the corner at the mall who came out after he done enough damage and killed the man on the spot. You just happened to be there, but you ain't heard the first rounds of shots? But you was over there eating donuts and goddamn drinking coffee? No.
They don't like donuts anymore. They like Chipotle.
Listen, I definitely got my partner on here with me tonight, Jew Cake. Me and her can talk all night, and we ain't gonna do that to you. So we're gonna go on and get ready to get up out of here now. We passed our time by 7 minutes. We appreciate y'all for coming out. We're gonna bring out the juiciest cakes in the business. Cake, let them know.
You can find me here every Tuesday and Friday, unless unforeseen circumstances happen. But I'm here for it. 9 o'clock. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Miss Beautiful, TikTok. You know what? We might well take TikTok off because I ain't found no time to get back on TikTok. Lord, I will one of these days. But I am accessible via my website. If you need a consultation for any of your homeopathic or healing needs, hit me up. Hit me up.
Cake, I need them folks to go on and get you healed up because your neck done got so skinny.
So you know what?
We'll meet behind the stage.
You the third mofo today keep trying to talk about my cotton picking neck. Okay?
It done got small, Kate.
It's fine. It got small. I'm wearing a brace. What? And you know what? We are getting it together, but it's just gonna take time. Now I am not doing no neck lifts.
You gotta, Cake, your neck gotta be like this.
Your neck's still able to perform, correct?
I don't know. Look, we ain't about to be like what that mouth do. Now, goddamn thing but talk.
Listen, we're gonna go ahead and bring out the band.
I'm sipping mango martini, okay?
Juicy neck on a diet.
Right.
We're gonna go ahead and bring out the man that makes it possible outside of the best one up above. Our brother, the one pain in our ass. I don't know, but I think he's pain in Juice's ass too, but definitely mine. But we definitely appreciate him and love him. Wouldn't want to do this without him. I wouldn't want to have him in my life every day. He definitely is a joy for me. I appreciate you, and I want to bring him out. AB, let him know.
What's up, everyone? I just want to make it be known that I'm not on Juicy's ass or get on her nerves and everything. Juicy loves me and I love Juicy because we spend plenty of nights talking and sharing thoughts and visions and views.
I do that too. So I want to hear that.
So maybe I'm only on your nerves.
I fall asleep with him.
Okay. Nevertheless, I'm Anthony Brown. You can find me on all social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube under Anthony Brown or The Anthony Brown Show. Please follow my Facebook page as Anthony the Writer. And words to live by, and you should too, and that you got to grind until you shine.
Yeah. Y'all know who it is. It's the one and only Legacy the Great. You can reach out to me on Facebook up under Dream Williams. Also, you can reach out to me YouTube at Legacy the Great. My email account is legacyunlocked@mail.com. Business purposes only. Shout out to me at 561-907-9129. Also, you can hit me up at 229-630-7615. I just want everybody to know, go out, make sure that when Dr. Reverend Sapp drops her book, you can go on and purchase her book. Be on the lookout for Teama's book. Also coming soon, Mr. AB's book. Got a bunch of authors around here. Then, you know, at the end, you're going to drop it off with Mr. Legacy the Great book. It's going to be a very, very telltale book, very in-depth. And we just want to thank everybody for continually making our podcast the #1 podcast in the world. That's how we see it. We know we bring the real and the truth.
Legacy's book is going to be a bestseller day one.
Yes. I'm going to go into hiding. When it first dropped, I'm going into hiding.
Because it's going to drop like them draws.
Look, that's why he's trying to promote the guns to be taken.
We love y'all. Y'all know what it is. Cake, let them know.
ATL, ho.
28 grams of moss, 28 grams of moss. Little people the king, little people the king. Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all ain't ready for this. Yeah. I'm the champion. I'm the champion. Don't know why you can't wanna wait to be with the speed just to give you cats a chance to eat. What you got for early didn't finish the plate. Now that I'm back, you rap cats are gonna have to wait. Been gone a whole year, still nobody got the leadership or the heart to even feel my spot. I'm the champion, must I say it again? The best in this rap game and I continue to win. See, I'm allergic to that, losing makes me sneeze. They're like you phony rap cat, I'm about to make it squeeze. Bring your whole crew, nigga, I'ma swallow that. So when it pops off, A&T is on a holler back. It's 28 grams, nigga. I've been running this shit. So anything in front of me can fuck around and get hit. I follow you rap cats, so you niggas my sons and I'm the truth. Why? Cause I'm the motherfucking champion. I'm the champion. I'm the champion. Still rep the A&T, but I carry my throne. God bless is the child that been holding home. And I am that child, as you niggas can see. Cause ain't another rapper out there better than me. And this goes to anybody trying to steal my spot. I'm #1 in this shit, so #1 you not. So when you can't scream, y'all is the best, I laugh. Like really, you cats don't really know the how. You do the math, and that's yourself who really great. Then add it up and watch it equal up to 28. So that's the damn cats know who really the done. I'm overall, I let you niggas fight for #1. See, I put that on my life, put that on my son. Gotta stay the best of people leaking trade love. And my throne, I'm the key. You can put that on my heart and I'm the